Hello everyone, I'm Paul, and this is part 2 of my process milling logs. If you happen to miss part 1, you can always go to it by hitting the link down below in the description, and it'll take you to my channel and you can watch the first part. Anyways guys, what we're going to do is just continue from where we left off on the first video, so let's get it done. Alright guys, basically just to do the fourth cut, we're going to take the jack off. We got to undo the log clamps. Now we got to be careful the log doesn't want to roll back. And then we have to roll the log. I noticed down here at the end a little piece of bark was getting in here. You can see, look, see that little piece? We don't want that to bind against here. Okay, so basically what we're going to do now is we're going to make the fourth cut. So I'm just going to adjust the log stops in the back so we don't hit them with the blade. Just put a short one in here. All right, we're going to line up the mill now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a small cut at the top, and then I'm going to take a board. So basically, you can see where I've got it lined up there. I'm just trying to get rid of the sapwood here. Trying to get the sapwood off of the log here, and then from there I'll start making some boards. Basically what I want to do is get down to an 8x8, and that's what I ultimately want out of this log. Okay, so I'm going to cut that right where it is. Let's get that done. Stalled. Okay guys, so basically we've got our cant here. It's not quite completely squared because you can see here I've got a little bit of edge. As I said, I wanted to cut to save a little bit of the width of the board here. Now because of the edges like this, I have to cut down far enough so that when I clean it up, cut the edges off later, that it can sit flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go down so that what I'm ultimately trying to get out of this log here is a 8x8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the blade at 8 inches, so they're going to cut right down through, and then I'm going to have a top board, and then I'll finish the top board later. So we come here, I'll line it up. So you can see here, basically I'm going to line the blade up, and right now I'm about an 8.5, so I'm going to lower the blade, check it again. Whoop. So I'm a little bit low, go up a notch. Check it a third time. Whoop. Let's get that in there. And you can see right now I'm right at 8 inches. So I'm going to cut that. So basically what I'll have here, as I mentioned, you can see how my edges are going to be below the edge. So now when I cut this off, then I can flip it onto the mill after, and then I can cut the bad edges off. So what we've got up here is almost 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut that, and that'll be the first part of my 8x8. Okay guys, we'll take this one off. It's going to be heavy. And now what we're going to do is we're going to roll it up on its edge on the taller part, and we're going to cut it once more so that we get the 8x8. Thing's heavy. Okay, you can see here now we've got our 8, nice perfect 8, nice and square. And now this way we've got about 10 3/4. So I'm going to cut this one a little bit differently. I hit the against the log stop and chipped the edge, which is never very good. So what I'm going to do now is I want to get this down to 8, but I'm going to do it differently because now I've got nice edges, so I can actually cut a board out of this. So I just have to do the math so that I cut it at 8. Or actually, I'm going to cut it at 8 and then I can clean it up after, I think. No, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it and then go from there. So we've got, double check it. I've got 10 3/4. So I need to come to 8, so I got 2 3/4. So I'm going to cut one at about just under 3/4, and then we'll cut one at 2 inches. Now you're probably wondering why I don't use this here for my scale, because what happens, a lot of vibration goes on and stuff like that, so I don't use the scale a whole bunch. I rather measure it with the tape, then I get more accuracy, or better accuracy. So I want to bring it down there, so I have 10 and an eighth. So I'll count for my width of my blade on the next cut, so I'll end up with a 2 inches. So we're good there. So I'm going to cut this one off, and then I'll cut a 2 inch, and then I'll be left with an 8 by 8. Okay guys, I'm just going to leave the board on there. I don't have to take it off to make the next cut, so I'm going to set it up to make a 2 inch cut, and I'll be left with 8 inches, and that'll finally be my 8 by 8 cant. Basically what I want is a beam 8 by 8. Okay, you're going to see why I left it all together here in a few minutes, and that's because when I go to move it, I want to move it as a whole unit. So we're just going to double check. You can see here, exactly 8. And we've got, again, we had seen that already, that's exactly 8. So we've got my 8 by 8. And then I've got a 2 inch right there, so perfect. So I've got all the wood cut up to what I want, except for the one piece there. I've got to cut it. I've got to throw it back on the mill. For the time being, what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to throw it on the side here. So that we can move to the next step of the process here. Something that I forgot to mention through the whole process, guys, and that's this guy here, the framing square. You can see here that this wood is perfectly squared. There's no space in that. And it's the same thing on this side here. You can see there. One thing that I take pride on, and that is to get these things as squared as possible, and there's a lot of little steps to take place to get 100% square. Maybe it's 99.9, I don't know, but anyways, as close to 100 as you can get. So really important that it's square, because when you're building something, you don't want things to be off. The more square it is, just a lot easier it's going to be to build. Anyways guys, on to the next step. The next step here basically is these slabs or offcuts. Basically what I do, you can see you got a trailer load. The next thing to do is to cut them up, chunk them up, and throw them in the trailer. I'll show you a little bit of that. Stay tuned. Okay guys, come down here and see. So I've got a lot of nice pieces here, all about 16 inches. I'll end up drying them a little bit, and then I'm going to split them all into just for camping firewood, and can make a few bucks off of that. So anyways guys, the next stage of this process is to take these pieces that I cut and put them into the trailer, and I use the tractor to do that. So let's take a look here in a minute. I'll warm up my tractor. Stay tuned. Well, all right, guys, basically that's the process of the way I mill my logs. From the point where after I brought the logs in, from washing them to milling them, and then to stack them either on the trailer or in a wood pile. I've got other wood piles in other locations, but anyways, hopefully you'll learn something from this. You may have not. It's not necessarily for to teach. It's basically just to show the way I'm doing it. I have extra time to do stuff, so I like to do it the way I do. I could be doing a little bit more efficiently, but it's a nice circle to keep my work area nice and clean. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do so by hitting that subscribe button down below. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Gelling Outdoors.